Good evening.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. How are you out there? Welcome
Oh,
tonight to Dr. Mary Welsh and her final book launch, as far as we all know, for this amazing book, her journals. Tonight, we're going to be learning all about the incredible power that journaling has, the understanding of when we share our most inside thoughts, even just putting things down, what clarity happens. I would say you find a pathway, you find something where Mary calls them the nuggets. You find these pieces where sometimes in fog for brains, we lose our ability to really concretely think through things. And the act of writing, the act of journaling, it really does something. And so tonight's amazing book launch is going to really focus in on that for Mary. So we welcome people who are here tonight. I'm down in Kyle, Texas. Look, I see some people coming up live. And Dr. Mary, where are you broadcasting from tonight?
yeah. We're from Warren, Michigan, and we got snow today a little bit.
Oh, how exciting, right for the holidays. Wonderful. Fun times, fun times. So we're here tonight. We can see other people popping in. So please share all about where you're from while we're getting things kind of straightened and set up for everything. We want to make sure that you are taken care of and that we have everything, for you. So Mary, as we're setting these things up, would you like me to share the screen now? Do you want to show anything what you've been doing, working on over the weekend? I mean, I saw some incredible pictures with a lot of neat bags, and that's really all I'll say. I'll let you take the floor on that.
Yeah. We have something to be really thankful for this year. There's been a lot of change and a lot of different things happening. But we started a nonprofit in honor of our daughter a few years ago. And so this weekend we put together 150 comfort bags, and they have teddy bears, well, panda bears in it, and blankets and all kind of goodies, something to make a child brighten and inspire the life of a child that's it's in a hospital or foster care or a shelter or that's grieving the loss of somebody. So we were just my kitchen has been overrun with boxes and we were busy beavers this weekend.
Wow, wow. How many books did you said 150?
We did it.
150 bags.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, guys, 150 bags. This is something where it's going to go out to 150 amazing children who, when Susie, her point of like kind of driving this into existence in kind of a strange way is that she had a friend who was in a foster care situation, and she thought it was just awful that whatever belongings you have, you throw in a trash bag and take to the next place. And that's, it's tough.
Yeah.
That's
She
really
was in
tough.
she was in the hospital a lot. She had the friend who was in foster care. She empathized with people that were in shelter. She did bake sales and donated her time and would take things up and offer it up to those that were in shelters and of course we're grieving her loss. So those are the four groups that we try to help out and so we give our bags to other nonprofits for distribution. So we don't ever get to see the smile, but the image in my face and in my mind makes me smile all day long.
That's right. That's right. I mean, what better way to really honor someone who is so dear and loving to you in honoring other people that you don't really get to see, but you can feel the impact of. And I love that concept of our angel. She is my friend. She is your amazing daughter. Going there, maybe even being a part of when those bags are given. I'm sure she's plenty busy with a lot of things that she's doing in the beyond, but wow, I mean, a great opportunity to feel of that positivity, to know that life can continue, life can go on, and there's ways to really get through in ways that are better than just surviving. This is something that really can impact for the long haul, and that is like we have down here. This is the second part of Journey into the Looking Glass, the 4 aspects of positive reflection, the journal that we're going to be talking about tonight with Dr. Mary Welsh. This is kind of that whole set companion with both of them together, the power that it can actually get you through such a tough time as grief. So let's jump in here. We've got great people here already. I can see some, and let's see those comments coming up, and we're going to jump on in. Are you ready, Mary?
I am. Thank you.
She's ready. Mary's born ready. Like, she's got it going on.
So tonight we're going to talk about the art of journaling. And I'm going to caution you that there's a lot of wordage on the slides, but I purposely left it up there as prompts for you when you go back, and you can use it while you're journaling. I promise I won't be reading it word for word.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. All right. So, welcome everyone. There's no right, no wrong way to journal, and it's very, very personal. And I know that to be true because the journaling that I do definitely looks different than the journaling that Mary does. And yet that's still a freedom to allow us to know that there's no right or wrong way to do it.
Absolutely. So it can help you address mental health issues. We all go through bouts of depression or anxiety or whatever that impacts our life. It's our outlook on life that we're looking at, and how we deal with adversity or deal with grief, or just to provide that space that you could just write down your thoughts. And if they're negative, just put them down on paper so you can get rid of them. And if they're positive, it reinforces the life that you want to lead on a positive reflection, correct? And so it's about growing, individually growing, and just, we all have lots of stuff floating around in our heads. It's just like there's so much going on up there, and sometimes you just wish you could compartmentalize it. Well, you can. Put it down on a piece of paper. Challenge yourself by using some of the prompts that we're going to talk to get some of that stuff out of your head. It can be overwhelming. In grief, there's many stages of grief, and you have to go through all different ones in order to heal. But you can help yourself by putting those words down on paper, because then they're not as overwhelming and they're not as harmful, maybe, to your well-being.
Yes, exactly.
So this is my girl. This is Susie. And I am just incredibly thankful and blessed that I had 31 years with her. And I called her my ray of sunshine. She was my youngest child. When I got remarried and I added 3 more wonderful children, she was a little upset because she wasn't the youngest anymore by a little bit. But she was still my baby. She was a free spirit, and she spent most of her adult life in and out of hospitals. She had a lot of health issues, and she had a lot of pain. And so I am very comforted to know that she is pain-free, and she is that free spirit, and she's with each of us every day, and she's prompting us along on our journeys to do and be the best that we can be. She's always with us. And a perfect picture of her is her and her grandmother, who just passed away this summer, in the heavens, singing and dancing. I'm walking on sunshine. Oh, yeah, I'm walking on sunshine. So you'll hear me talk about weaving the story forward. And so that little song came about because my other daughter, Angela, said that I sang "You Are My Sunshine" to Susie when she left. And I also sang it to Grandma. And she said, that wasn't Grandma's song. And so I said, what is it? What's my visual? You got to give me a visual, that story. What's that story in your head? Let me know what it is. And she shared with me that Susie was in a long line at the end of waiting for Grandma to come to the gates and to the heavens. And there was her mom and dad and her precious Nana and two husbands and a bunch of brothers and sisters and a bunch of friends. And then there's Susie. She's hippity hoppity dancing at the end of the line, waiting and waiting and waiting. Well, she wasn't very patient. She skipped right in front of everybody, got up to the gate, grabbed Grandma's hand, and she started singing. We're dancing on sunshine, and Grandma didn't need her walker anymore, and life was good. So there's my visual. There's my two angels up there watching over us. And this little picture on the side over here is my little grandson Luke, who misses both of those angels, But when we went to um, lay Grandma to rest, we bought flowers, and he put them on the grave, and there's a little angel on there. So we were weaving the story forward that the two of them were together, and they were looking out for each other, and so. Our memories are not just memories. Our memories can be the gateway to the future. They can be the gateway to allow us to keep that person alive and present in everything we do, every day, every occasion, every non-occasion, whatever, to read the story forward.
Right. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. The four aspects of positive reflections. This you can see everything here. You can take a screenshot of it if you need to, but remembering, reflecting, recreating, and relating, this is what the impact of this journal can really do for you. So Mary, share with us about this.
Yeah. So when I started grieving, I went to see a therapist. I recommend everybody go see a therapist. It's a neutral person. You just share all of your whatever's in your head, whether you think it's your subconscious or your conscious mind. It can come out in those discussions. But in talking to her, I realized that I always looked at life with the cup half full, not half empty, but always half full. There's always something good can come from it. And it's like, how can I lost my baby. I mean, how can I live? How could it be positive in any way, shape, or form? And Susie was larger than life. She was that person that everybody went to. She was a ray. We called her a ray of sunshine because she really was. And um, so in reflecting on it, I realized there were those four things. One, I have to remember all the good and bad things that happened, the indifferent things. I just have to remember because that's the foundation for moving forward in life and anything. These four aspects can be used if you were going through a divorce, you lost a job, you're moving, your kids are out of school and everything's, a little different. It's for any adversity. But today we're going to talk about it from a grief perspective. But just challenge yourself to remember this. So reflecting, how do you reflect? So how important was Susie to me? And how important was I to Susie? Well, there's a lot of stories that can be told about that, right? There's a lot of feelings, a lot of different things. And so I know I had an impact on her. And I know she had an impact on me. For goodness sake, I wrote 4 books and started a nonprofit in her honor. If she hadn't been the person that she was, that wouldn't have happened because I wouldn't have had that story in my head about that foster kid in that shelter and being in the hospital. So she had a large impact on me and still does to today. So the third section is to recreate. And to me, this is the toughest one. This is the one that you have to dig deep a little bit. It's what if, could have, should have, why didn't I, if only, all those things that just drive you crazy. I want one more hug. I want one more kiss. I want one more I love you. Never ever be enough. It's never, we always want one more. And so I say that we are authors. Every one of us are an author. And we get to write the story of our life. And the story of our life really is about how we take those adversities and challenges and losses and use them to move us forward. How do we take, losing a job to finding a new job that's a whole lot better in a different field that you like, maybe? How do you take going through a divorce and you uproot your whole family? Maybe you had to go to a shelter. Maybe you had to start from scratch. Is that really the best thing? Well, yeah, sometimes it is. Sometimes it is, you know? And as you I did. I went through a divorce and I started over and I really realized how important life was and how the little things really don't matter. It's the people and the time. And so you move forward, but you have to be positive in it. Otherwise, you get stuck in that past. You get stuck in that what if, I could have, I should have, I didn't. It's not healthy. So if you read a book, for example, there's characters that are in chapter 3 that disappear in chapter 4. Maybe you know what happened to them. Maybe they died. Maybe they moved away. Maybe, whatever the storyline is. And maybe they show up again in chapter 8. And then you go on with life. And then maybe they never do show back up again. And that's okay. We have to remember and reflect on what impact they had on us, because we can weave them forward in our life. And so that's what I've done with Susie. I've weaved her forward. Okay, and we'll talk a little bit more. And then the fourth one is to relate. It has 3 prongs, very important. The first one, self-care. If you can't help yourself, you're not any good to anyone else. It's hard to do. Some days you don't want to get up. You just can't get up. You can't focus. Why bother? But if you get up and take a shower and get dressed, you feel better. So you have to. You have to do self-care. Then the second one is to help others. And this can be something little or something big. It could be, going next door and checking on the lady next door to see if she's okay. It could be taking somebody a tray of cookies. It could be helping someone with a resume. It could be anything. And for a person that's grieving, for those around them, make that phone call. Don't be afraid to talk about their loved one. Don't be afraid if they cry. They cry anyway, right? And so it's more disheartening to the one that's lost somebody if nobody says their name. Nobody, it's just like they forgot about them. How could we ever forget about them? And so I tell people that all the time. To the one that lost somebody, say their name, say it loud and proud. Talk about them, share their stories. It's okay. If you cry, it's okay. If you laugh, it's okay. It's life. For those that we're helping or that they're helping us, it's okay. We'll cry. We'll laugh. We'll make you laugh. We'll make you cry. That's life. Okay? And so the third prong is to give back in the community. And so that's whatever nonprofit you want to work with. You want to do something with the environment. You want to do something with the school systems. You want to do something with the homeless. Whatever is in your heart, you just give back. You get tenfold. I started this out with, I was very grateful. This weekend, my children, a couple of them said to me, "This is awesome. Please don't buy us a present. Please don't buy us our yearly pajamas. Make a bag for another kid." Oh my God, my heart melted. My heart melted. They know what it is to be, they know what it is to not have, and they know what it is to have. And so they've experienced both. And my daughter said, "I don't want anything. You give me a blessing every day by your example."
Wow, that's
Oh my
really
God, made my
impactful.
day.
That's what mamas want to hear, because that's the impact that changes generations. That's the impact that changes their family. That's the impact that changes neighbors and friends, because it's not about this want, it's about the give. And when they see and realize that, I mean, another big blessing from, how could something positive from someone being lost? There's another positive. I mean, amazing, amazing.
So I just challenge each of you to stop and think about those 4 things and how you can model your life to helping other people. Because when you do, it comes back tenfold. Tenfold. Okay?
Right.
So there's two rules here that I'm going to talk about. And one is, there's no right or wrong thing to put down on a piece of paper. Just write. Don't scratch it out. Don't white it out. Don't start it over. Don't rip it out of the book. Don't, just put your thoughts on paper. Don't care. You don't care about the clutter or the grammatical, the spelling, any of that. Don't worry about any of that. And you have to make a place and a time every day to do it. So it could be at the beginning of your day for 5 or 10 minutes. It could be at the end of your day. It could be on your lunch hour. It could be after dinner. You lock yourself in the bathroom. I don't care where you do it. Just a little bit of time for yourself. And sometimes that's hard to find. But if you find yourself doing it every day at this kind of the same time, you'll actually be more successful at journaling. Okay. So the journal itself is a companion. I ended up writing it because it's a companion to the book that I wrote, which is about my grief journey. And so the main book here is how I grieved and how my family went on their journey. There is no right or wrong. I gave it a bunch of context from other authors that had lost children, from other parents that I learned that had lost children, from research that I had done. But I realized we have fog for brains when we grieve. We can't. We can try to read, but I couldn't read. My mind was a gazillion miles away. And so I wrote it in sections that are like 2 and 3 pages. And at the end of each section, I summarized a key takeaway from those 2 pages. And then a couple of questions just to prompt you to write something down. And you could pick out anywhere in the book. You didn't have to go in order or anything like that. It was whatever struck you at the moment. And so I wrote the journal as a companion to that, because throughout my book, I talk about the 4 aspects of positive reflection. I also do it in my children's books, because everybody should learn to positively reflect on those four things. And so by doing that, I decided to make this journal. And really, the journal asks you 3 questions. What about those 4 aspects did you do today? What did you do for yourself? And what did you do for someone else? And if you went all day and you were helping everybody else, oh my God, I didn't take 5 minutes for me. Makes you stop and think. Go for a walk. Take that 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and do something for yourself. It might be that you had a pity me day. And I just stayed in and I didn't do anything. I didn't do any housework. I didn't fix any meal. I was just existing or not existing, however you want to look at it. Oh, get up and do something for somebody else. You know, get up, make that phone call to your friend that's in the hospital, or your friend that's lost their parent, or your friend you know is having a hard time, or the one you just haven't talked to in a long time. Maybe they need you, right? And so that's what the prompts are in the book. We talk about the 4 aspects, but then really, what are you doing for yourself, and what are you doing for others?
Yeah.
So we're going to go through and we're going to talk a little bit about why it's important to journal. But I have one story that I'm going to share with you, that I went to a gathering with a bunch of women, and I sat at the table, and there was probably 8 ladies. And they were elderly ladies. My mom was with me, and they asked me my story, and I told them my story. And I got sadness. Immediately you get sadness. And then another lady said, I lost my child, and another one, I lost my child. And there were 6 out of the 8 women had lost a child. And so we each went around the table and told a little bit about our children. We got to the one lady, and she started crying. I said, what's the matter? Why don't you want to share? She said, I'm not allowed to talk about my child. I haven't said my child's name in 50 years. Oh my goodness. My journal would be Susie, 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 Susie. I would be going crazy. I talk about Susie every day, all day. You know, I talk about her in context with the nonprofit, so it's a little easier for me to start that conversation. But her family walled it off. It was not to be talked about. And she never did say her name. And I said, I will not take no for an answer. What's your child's name? And she said her name, and she started crying. And she came up to me after the outing. She came over and she pulled me aside, and she thanked me. She said, I'm going to talk about my daughter because of you. So people when they're grieving can be sad. We're sad people. We're sad. And other people don't know how to handle it. So if you're that person, just ask them to share a story. If you let them talk for 3 minutes about Susie, went here and went there. She went jet skiing, and she had a blast. I get to say something. You heard it, and now we're going to move on to the next subject. Just give them that moment, because otherwise they're thinking, oh, you didn't even care about Susie. You didn't even ask about her. You didn't even ask how I'm feeling. What's the matter with you? Don't you care about me? Oh my God. I'm not going back out again. And that person might go down the rabbit hole.
The rabbit hole. That is something that you share about, that it just gets us sucked down and we're not able to really rebound. And when we're looking up, it is a dark place, and pretty soon we feel that dirt kind of piling in on top of us. And what do we do about all of that? It just spirals us down. We have to reach out, block ourselves, don't let us spiral down there. And I'm sure you'll share later about how that a simple tool of making a list can really help with that.
Yes. Oh, it's the savior. That list is the savior.
Yes.
So let's talk about some journaling prompts that we can do here.
All right.
So the next slide, like I said, lots of verbiage, so I'm not reading it off. It's
All right.
really to spark your mind to pick one or two things, and I can't. There it is. Okay, one or two things that you can write about that day. Okay, and so again, these are from different authors that are out there. I've got them cited in the corners, and so really, what tools or what things do you want to look at? And to me, journaling is kind of like if you wrote a paper, would you do an outline? If you did a speech, would you do an outline? If you're journaling your life, just write it down. It doesn't mean it's not the whole story, but it's all the thoughts. And when you go back and look at it on a different day, you might say, that really wasn't that bad. That really wasn't that bad. Or, oh my God, I can't believe felt so dark. I'm so thankful today that I'm not in that rabbit hole. I don't have that heaviness feeling on me right now. And so, don't, like I said, don't worry about any of the grammar, any of that kind of stuff. Don't the dynamics of writing. Don't worry about it. Just write it simple. Just jot down some thoughts. And if you want to write a book, write the book. It's really yours. It's really up to you how you want to share it. Um, and and so, with grief, there's just a lot of emotion involved. It's got not only your emotions, but it's your family that's around you and their friends. And, did you do the right thing or did you not do the right thing? If you had been there, all those things that they make you challenge if you could have made a difference. You couldn't. It was their time. And if you stop and think about it, they are with us every day. I firmly believe this. They are with us firmly every day. And they are our little angel shadows that are around us. That little brightness in the day when it's you can't see beyond the minute, the hour. Um, they're there. They're giving you that silent hug. So just write your emotions down. That's the first group of tips.
Right. Right. And when those things go down, the benefits they come immediately. They come in a way that it's almost like when you're sick and you know you're going to have an upset stomach and you fight the urge to just get rid of it. And no, I can't do that because you're worried about it's just terrible to vomit, right? But sometimes that journal becomes that emotional vomit where we can get it all out. There's a sense of relief and you do feel better. You feel something's been accomplished. There's a process that's happening. More fog is cleared and things are replaced. And I know the benefits personally are amazing. So share with us some of this research from Cower and what she also talks about.
You know what? Before we do that, can we give a journal away now?
Oh, sure. Let's do that.
I just feel like giving a journal away because before we get into the benefits and everything,
All right.
it's all about being that narrator of your life. And April, you shared a story about how you're the narrator for all the pictures that your kids draw and put together, and you combine them into a little movie clips, little videos and stuff. So you're the narrator, and so they've shared their story with you on paper or in their artwork or whatnot. This is your story. In the journal, it's your story. And so we just need to honor ourselves. So I want to honor somebody with starting their journal path.
Okay. So I'm going to pick a name over here, and we have Chris Kowalski I don't know how to say the last name.
I got her. I know
You
who it
got
is.
her? Okay.
Yay, Chris.
Okay, so Chris, way to go. And let me hold up what you've won tonight. I've got it all stacked over here. Right here. Is this right, Mary? This is what she has won tonight, Chris. And I apologize for butchering your name. I am so sorry. I just won't even try. Chris, last name C. All right. You have won this tonight. That is fantastic. Congratulations. Excellent. Thank you, Mary, for giving me that prompt to say, hey, we're giving something away.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
So let's take a look at benefits.
All right, let's do that.
So there's all different kinds of ways to journal. And some people will do like word journals where they'll write just a word down or write combinations off of words, or they'll take pictures and they make collages and different things like that. And we'll talk a little bit about that later. But right now we're just talking about actually writing, an outline or a story. You're just putting your thoughts down on paper. And I kind of liken it to that author. You're reconstructing your life. You're taking that garbage from the past that's got you weighted down in that rabbit hole, and you're saying, I deserve a better life. I deserve to be happy. I deserve it. I deserve it. And until you're on top of the ground and you're no longer in that rabbit hole. Okay. And so there's triggers. There's triggers to grief. When Susie passed, we had a lot of occasions at the time, first birthdays and anniversaries and all different kinds of things. And so we waited 5 days to have her funeral, and I buried her on my dad's birthday, her grandfather's. And in the time those 5 days went on, family and friends came. They came. Food was everywhere. People were everywhere. I don't know what happened, how it happened. I couldn't tell you anything about it. All I said was, come, bring pictures, and tell your stories. Tell her story. Tell how she impacted you. And so they did. And when we went to the funeral home, they had put all the picture boards, those 3 pro presentation boards, they put them in the car. And when we got to the funeral home, the funeral director started taking him out. And he's like, oh, oh, he counted. There were 49 presentation boards. He said he'd been doing it a long time. I definitely had the record. He'd never seen that many pictures in his life. So that was healing. It was healing because everybody sat around and they told their story. They told their story with Susie, or how Susie inspired them, or how Susie did this, or how Susie helped them, or whatever the story was. They were all different. We've all been in funerals when we meet different people, and they all have a different perspective based on how they knew her or your loved one. And so there was 49 presentation boards. And I stood at the casket. I never moved from the casket the whole day. It was a blur. It went very fast. But everybody that came up, I said, I challenge you, go away, look at the pictures, enjoy the life that she led, see how much joy she had in life. And I dare you to find one where she's not smiling. It wasn't possible. One person did come back and said, I found one. I said, no, you didn't. And they said, yes, I did. I said, what was she doing? She was on the bottom of the roller coaster coming down. I said, you caught her going, ah, before she went, ah. So that just gives you a perspective of how I could never go through life sad and morose the rest of my life because it wouldn't honor the life that she led, the life that I cherished, the life that I enjoyed with her. So you walk around in a fog. I went one day and I went to put some clothes in the washer machine or the dryer. And I opened the door and there was a whole load of wash folded inside the dryer. And I went, who put those in there? And nobody ever owned up to it. So it had to be me. And I keep looking for that button and I can't find it. I sure wish I could.
That would be the best button of my life.
That would be the best button.
Let's see, we're down. We used to do 22 loads of wash a week. Now we're down to about 16 loads a week. And if I could open my dryer and have them folded, oh wow. There's
Life
the
is
$1
beautiful.
billion. Let's make that happen.
But you have to realize, what are those challenges? So pictures, to me, I didn't look at any of those boards. I brought them home. I set them up when people came over, and then I put them all in a stack, and that's where they stood. And I wrote my book, and I put pictures in my book. Or I wanted to. It took me about a year longer than it should have to publish my book because I couldn't look at the pictures. Our friend April came over. April is Susie's best friend. She called, "Hey, Mom, how's it going?" Like, "Okay, I'm having a hard time." "What? Why?" I said, "Well, I'm trying to look at these pictures, but I go down the rabbit hole." She goes, "Mom, I'll be right over." She came for 5 days. She sorted all the pictures. She didn't just sort the pictures. We told the story of all the pictures. She shared when they were on their friends on their campouts and this and that. And I shared pictures from when she was little and different things like that. And now I can look at the pictures and remember, and it's okay. It's not this weight on top of me. And so that was my journal. I would write, I want to do the pictures and I can't. It was my can't. In April, I know you're probably listening. I love you. I love you. I love you, because I couldn't have done it without you. And so she got credit in my book too. She's my picture illustrator. Her and my husband, because my husband had to scan them all.
Wow, incredible. Yeah, it is a challenge when we come up to something that we have to face, and that's part of the things that you put down in that journal, and you faced it, and that, even though it was your can't, that was fine. You still did it, and that grief journaling is one way to allow ourselves that safe, judgment-free space, and you didn't judge yourself. You put it down that I can't, and the angel came over, right? I'm sure Susie was like, "April, get over there and help my mom. Go on." And right timing, everything. So
Yeah. So that
wonderful.
was how the benefits are here. The second from last one was talks about reconstructing. And that was how I reconstructed my aversion to looking at pictures. Right now I can look at pictures and laugh, and I can share a story, and I can get sad, and I can laugh, and I can get happy, but they're not this looming over me anymore. So journaling is a way to put those looming things that you have to tackle in order to heal on a piece of paper, and you come back to it, and you come back to it, or you figure out who it is that's your little savior, like April was for me, that maybe can help you tackle that piece. Or your therapist might be that angel that helps you tackle that piece.
Right, right. All right, let's see what we've got coming up next here. You talked about the mental health and the stress that possibly, that comes with all of this, but there's a release about talking about it through your day, identifying things that you're grateful for, and you find the positivity within that. I know in the month of November, that's just something that so many of us are familiar with doing, and I think it's a great preparatory thing to understand. Really, I can be grateful every day, even in tragedy, even in hard things, and talking about how different life is from 5 years ago, writing the letter to yourself, to your body, list and describe how your emotions are, write about how you would describe yourself to a stranger. I mean, wow, amazing things for the mental health and the stress relief of all of this comes through the actual act of writing.
Yeah. And so this is where I talked about, that fog. This gentleman's, it's all around his head. He can't see. He's just enveloped in that fog. And this poor woman is, she's in despair. She's into her own story that she's actually on that rabbit. Okay. So rabbit hole, definitely some boy talked a little bit about. Um, I had a list. All my sisters were on it. Some of my best friends were on it. And I would call and I'd say, just talk. Just talk. And if I dialed and you didn't answer, I didn't leave you a message. I hung up and I dialed the next one. I hung up and dialed the next one until I got a live person, because I needed a live person. Because if I went down the rabbit hole, it could be an hour, it could be a day, it could be a week. I mean, it depends how far I went down that rabbit hole in my grief, how far I got to come back up to get out, right? And so I know I told this story before, but I think it's one of Susie's favorite stories. Is she would laugh uncontrollably at any odd time, and I'd say, "What's going on?" And she would remind me of this story. But I had called my brother. He answered the phone when I was calling my sister-in-law. And so he immediately asked me, did I see the doctor? Have I taken my medication? And I'm like, stop, 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 just talk. And he's like confused because I never explained to him. I said, just tell me a story. So he told me the story about Susie being a little younger, and she was sick and on the couch, and people kind of forgot she was there a little bit. Well, he was going outside the door from the kitchen to the outdoors. He had a full plate of food. And as you can imagine, he's walking towards the glass door that somebody shut, and he smacked right into it. That food went all up in his face, all over his chest. And then he looked around to see if anybody saw. And guess what he saw? Susie laughing hysterically. And so one of her favorite stories was she would remember Uncle Jim's look, and she would say, remember when Uncle Jim walked into the door wall? So don't go down the rabbit hole.
Don't go down them.
Just make it a long list if you have to, and just reach out to those family and friends.
Right. Reach out to everybody, because when we do that, there's just so much that really can happen. And a laugh versus a despair is so much better, for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this one talks about being emotion focused, and it gives you a lot of great ideas here. How you have to give yourself permission to grieve. You have to feel it's okay. I used to tell the kids, I'm having a moment. I called them my moments. I'm having a moment. You can't fix me. I need to have my moment. I need to go out in the yard and sit by my daughter's statues and have a discussion with her. It's okay. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna be okay. But please don't send the brigade out to get me, or feel that everybody's gotta, if I walk outside, everybody's gotta follow me because everybody wants to fix me. It it's something I have to deal with. If I tell you I'm having a moment, then let me be. If I need you, I will be all up in your space looking for that hug. I guarantee you. And so it's emotion focused, and you wanna be able to honor those emotions, um, but you also want to create some new emotions as well. And so we talked about the pictures with April, right? Well, Susie isn't here. And so Susie is not at the next birthday party. She's not at the next graduation, wedding. playing in the leaves out in the front yard, going to the apple cider mill. She's not here, but she certainly can be because she's in our thoughts. We talk about, oh, remember when she took us and we had such a good time. So we remember those things. And so our family, instead of saying cheese when we would take a picture, we say Susie, and we smile. It makes you smile, right? And we do this. We put our thumbs in the air. We call it the thumbs up revolution. Every picture that we look at, and we're at that graduation party, and we look at it a year from then. There's so and so and so and so and so and so. All and Luke has his thumbs up. He's thinking about Aunt Susie. Oh, Mary has her thumbs up. She was thinking of Susie. So it's just a reminder. She really is with us always. So think of something that you might be able to do with your family, and if you want to use that one, go ahead. It's a really, my grandchildren, I think every picture they take, they do this. But
great training. great focus for sure. Yeah, it really does help to have something that everyone can share and do together that is just something really simple and easy.
Yeah. So how do you remember your loved ones? I have a necklace. I have some of Susie's ashes on a necklace, and all of the family has one. That's one way we remember her. We have an urn with her ashes, and it's in the other room. Some people go to the cemetery. They take flowers. There's all different ways. Some people take their ashes and they sprinkle them over the water because they love the water, or the nature because they love the gardens and the trees and different things like. So people do it different. Everybody does it different. It's their story, right? And so there's no right or wrong way. Just know that regardless of where they're at, they're with you every day. Okay? They're in your mind, they're in your memories. And so my book, actually, the first book, Finding Hope, it starts with a bunch of stories, a bunch of short stories. And it's just imagine if everybody that came to your funeral told a story about you. Your coworker's story would be different from your mother's story. Your neighbor's story would be different from your kid's story. Everybody's story is a little bit different, but it gives you a different slice of who we are as people and what impact we had on them. And so I tell people that are newly grieved, if someone tells you a story, write it down. It could be 2 sentences. It doesn't have to be long. It's just whatever that little story snippet is. On those days when you're having a really bad day, oh, those stories make you think, oh my God, she lived life to her fullest. I didn't know she knew how to do that. I didn't know she did this. I didn't know. So remember your loved ones with good memories. And the memories not just are yours, but are those of other people she or he loved, right? And so that's important. And I call that weaving the story forward, because you didn't live that piece of their life, but somebody shared the story. And so now you are a part of that story because now you know it.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said.
You know what? I think it's a good time to give another book away. What
All
do you
right. Let's do it. Let's do it.
I'm going to give away another journal book, okay?
Okay, another journal book. Let me hold it up. Oh, there we go. This again, another journal book. Are you guys ready? Okay.
Come on. Let it roll.
Let it roll. And it goes to Sadie. Sadie Q.
Hey.
I couldn't pronounce your last name, but Sadie, last name with a Q.
Yep, I got her.
You got her. Mary, you have amazing friends that I can't pronounce, but I'm so glad. Congratulations, Sadie. Excellent. Thank you for being here and showing up live for Mary. Thank you, everybody. And if you are here, keep sharing those comments, putting them down below. Share this out with everyone because we want people to know that there is opportunity. There is a pathway through the grief that you really can make it through. And, Mary's not just about one aspect. She's very multifaceted. We've got 4 books, a nonprofit. I mean, so many things to honor one person who has passed. And tonight is another one of those nights where we're showing all things can happen. So thank you. Congratulations, Sadie. Excellent.
And I would challenge you to take a look at I honored Sadie. Sadie is one of Susie and her sister's friends. April, I talked about April. April is honored. They're all honored because they're all at different aspects. Chris is honored because she's in a family. Everybody has that connection. And if you don't have that connection, I think you know a little bit about Susie and her family before you're done with this book launch or with any of the books if you get a chance to read them.
That's right. That's right. I know I've learned so much, and I feel that she's with our family now.
Yeah. So we use our senses. Our senses are key to who we are. And so, we all, the one on the top, touching, I'm having a hard time with COVID. I'm a hugger. It's foreign to me not to be, hugging my family or being close to them. The little boy on the bottom is so inquisitive. He's got his little magnifying glass out to check out what he's looking at. And so, and the young lady is like, what did I hear? What's a scoop? Tell me. I want to know the story. It's all about stories, right? And so Susie, Susie loved life. Susie, she loved to laugh. She would go to comedy shows, and there was one comic, he told his joke and everybody laughed, and Susie was still laughing, belly laughing, just hysterically. He stopped, looked up to the rafters, and said, oh, this is going to be easier than I thought, because she was just laughing so hard. And so that's the way she embraced life. So it's good. So just kind of take a look at those different sensory items, when you're going through your prompting.
Definitely.
The next one talks about creative grieving prompts, and there's a few there for you to take a look at. And like I said, there's no right or wrong, so you pick what hits you and what doesn't. For me, it's looking at signs, looking for signs. So I wrote my children's book about my special angel. It was in that's my coloring book.
Oh.
It was in reflection of all the questions that my grandchildren asked about their Aunt Susie and where was she and how could they talk to her and what could they do and they missed her and what about music and all these different things. And so they asked a question, and Angel Susie in that book narrates it and answers it. And there's 5 grandchildren, so there are different age brackets, so a little different response for each one. Okay, so we'll talk about that a little more, but what I wanted to say was there's signs, and I talk about that in the book. Look for the butterflies, look for the pennies, look for the dandelions. I mentioned that my mom had passed in July, and my mom lived with me, so when my grandson and grandchildren would come over, they were lucky because they got Nana and Papa, and then they got Grandma Shirley. And whenever they were over, Grandma Judy and Grandpa Basil came over. So they had 5 grandparents. Spoiled. Call them spoiled. It's okay. But when Grandma Shirley passed, it kind of left a little bit of a pallor in the house because her room is empty. And so we're in the process of revamping the house to make things a little different so it's not that sad room, because Susie had it and then Grandma had it. So we're gonna break the sadness of the room. But the first time we went for a walk, Luke and I, we went past the field after Grandma had passed, and he always looked for butterflies. He goes, oh, "There's Uncle Keith. There's Susie." And then he was so elated because he saw a third butterfly. And he said, "Oh my goodness, Grandma Shirley's here." There might have been 3 or 4 or 8, who knows? But we stopped counting it too. But now, whenever we go out, we always find 3. We always find 3 dandelion puffs. We always find 3 pennies. Coincidental, or is it a sign? It's a sign. The great there so there of them a way of
Yes, exactly.
so the next slide here. April, will you hold up my 2 books for me? The
Yes.
adult set.
Mm-hmm.
So Susie loved life, and you can see there's in the shadow of the one book and right on the cover of the journal book, there's a gal and she's got her arms outstretched on the shoreline. Well, that's Susie. She's embracing life. She's amazing. She's got this. She's full of life. And this young lady reminds me of that. Renew your spirit. Reach out. Go for it. Don't feel that you're restricted in any way, shape, or form. You have to go for it. Life is good. It's what we talk about. I mentioned that I sang "You Are My Sunshine" when my daughter passed. Um, I have a cute story that after she passed, my niece sent me a video, and it was us in Florida singing karaoke. I didn't know where that song came from, but in that video clip, you want to guess what we were singing?
You are
You
my
are my
sunshine.
sunshine. Yes. And there was Grandma and the cousins and Susie and myself. So it was a fun night. So there was a connection that I didn't even remember. Didn't even remember. So it renewed my spirit that it was good. It was a sign to me that we had done that. So I challenge you. What's your mantra? We always say you're amazing. You got this. I got little bands on my wrist that we give out to the children, and it says, "You got this." I want them to know they can do anything that they want. So, what's your mantra? What is it that what can make you inspire you every day? Think about it. You can have a bracelet made if you want. You could just write it down on a piece of paper, write it in that journal, and believe it. If you believe it, you can do it.
That's right. That is right. Those mantras can carry us very, very far because they're positive. They help us to get through a lot of things, and they're short and they're meaningful to each one of us individually.
Mm-hmm. So the next part talks about that self-care. And it really is about like the little sign up in the corner. You have to love yourself. You have to love yourself enough to say, I need time for me. I need I need everybody around me. Whatever it is you need, that you're practicing as self-care. Um, I have a story here. When Susie passed, my daughter Angela came to me and she said, another friend, Becky, hello, Becky, was getting married. And the invitation was there for Susie to attend. Angie was standing up in the wedding. And she said, Mom, you have to come. I said, I can't. It's too soon. I can't. She says, Mom, you have to come. It's Becky. I said, I know, but it's her special day. I can't be sad on her special day. She goes, well, she'll be sad if you don't come. And I might never walk down the aisle again. I'm a bridesmaid. I want you there. And I'm like, she says, I can't do it without you. I can't go. Susie's not going to be there. I have to know it's okay. You have to come. Okay. So I talked to my husband and I said, we're going to go to the church. We're going to go early. We're going to go in and I can take a snapshot with the bride and my daughter. I can say I was there. I'm happy. We haven't started anything yet. I'll go into church. It'll hit me because Susie's never going to have that chance. And she wanted to be there. And then we're going to leave. We're going to go home. We're going to go out to dinner. We're not going to the reception. And everybody come up and said, oh, you have to come. I think, no, it's okay. It's okay. I knew my barriers. I did self-care. I sat in the pews. And God bless his soul, Andy, a friend, was across the hall, across the pew. And the tears started. And he quietly crossed the aisle and handed me a wad of Kleenex. I was okay. He went, sat back down. And then Becky did a tribute to her dad and to Susie. And the tears wouldn't stop. I think back now, I don't know how I didn't cry. I didn't laugh because all of a sudden I saw Andy walking across the thing again. But he ran out of toilet paper. He had Kleenex. He had a whole wad of toilet paper for me. Any port in a storm, right? It was okay. I had to share that moment. Becky is very special, another one of, Susie and Angie's friends. And I got to share her special day. But I stopped at the service. The rest would have been too hard for me. They had a great time. It was a great wedding. And so I was so glad that I went. So you pick your moments. You pick what you can do and what you can't do. I talked about those moments a little bit ago. Just tell people you have to put up the barrier if you can't do it. And you have to take the barrier down and say, Susie loved birthday parties. We always wear funny hats. We sang in the restaurant. Everybody, how can I stop? It was a tradition. And she would kick me in the booty if she was here. So some days you have to force it. And once you get there, it becomes okay. And if you're sad, that's okay.
It is okay. That's part
So
of it.
do whatever it takes. And so this one talks about those alternatives that I talked about. And it's really, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's about making a visual of your grief, making a scrapbook, a journal book, a photo book. And the last two talk about writing a love letter to your loved one. Write them that letter. Tell them what you wanted that one more to be, how they impacted your life. Tell them. Nobody else gets to read it. It's just you. And then the last one talks about writing a letter to yourself. Why do you love yourself? Why are you a good person? What is it that you did that, what would they say to you? What would my daughter say to me? Oh, she said it in life. I have some of those letters. If she saw, I know she sees. If she could tell me about my nonprofit and the impact we're making and the books that I've written and the impact that it's making, oh, she would be so proud. So proud. So I have to go with that.
Me too.
And so it's all about taking that time and doing whatever it is to document that story of her life and your life and how it was intermingled. If you're talking about, getting a new home or a new job or whatever it is, take a look at what would that photo book look like? If you were moving from a home, would they be pictures of when your first child was born or you got married and you moved into it, and then all the different children that were added to it, and the different paint jobs and the adding a pool or whatever, all those different things, right? It's a visual. It's just a visual instead of a written word. And some people find that easier.
Right.
So these are the 4 books that I wrote. The first 2 are my adult journal and the adult book and the journal. And the adult book is really, there's poems in it, there's short stories in it, there's research, some research in different areas. It talks a lot about the what ifs and how you can change the dynamic of it to a more positive, but I did statement, which allows you to forgive. And then the journal, is we've been talking about this evening, and so those 2 are a set. And then the children's books, we talked about My Special Angel and the coloring book, and the coloring book is really, I put coloring books in my bag, so I wanted to make it so that it was something that was good for the children. So they're all good characteristics to follow and model. So being considerate, helping others, and I put a positive affirmation at the bottom of the page. So the page that you're looking at, what does it say?
This is
Considerate.
considerate.
And then at the bottom it says care for others. And there's a young man opening the door for his grandparents.
Right, right. And you can see my kids are into it in coloring, and because it gives them that positivity and good things to remember about, and we have good stories to talk about.
Yeah. And so the children's book was really written to create dialogue. It's not a book that you just kind of pick up and read from front to back. If you can, but it's really something that you can talk to your child about to garner some conversation. So maybe they've lost a dog, maybe a neighbor has passed away, maybe their grandmother passed away. We're all going to be exposed at some time, and so how can we move them to know that it's okay, that they didn't want to leave them, but it was their time, but they're always with them. So you can always look for those butterflies, you can always look for the birds, you can always look for the pennies. If you find a penny and a dime, oh my goodness, someone is sending you a whole lot of love. And so just embrace it and move forward for the day. And so maybe you could share a little bit about how your children, they lost their grandma a couple years ago. And
Yes.
did this book open up stories?
It did. The book really opened up stories, and we had lots of tears, but in good ways. I have to share the part for us that really kind of struck, and I think for us this, and remember about, do you miss us, all the happy times. And my mother-in-law, she was very festive, so every holiday she's the one that comes in with the blinking antlers and the blinking Christmas lights, or if it's Easter, she got eggs hanging from her ears, like it was all the time on. And we've missed that for the past few years. And so I kind of took it upon myself to open this up again, because it was really painful for my husband, really painful. And we were sad, but he was just crushed. And it was kind of like, don't talk about it. Don't give me the memories of it, because it's just too hard. And I just I don't function that way. I'm like, well, we got to remember them. So we're going to. So we had a few times where once we started out with this book, we started going back to the farm and having great experiences during the Halloween time, because she has 11 grandchildren and 6 of the 11 were born in October. So, I mean, come on, you got to go to the farm and do the harvest thing and find the pumpkins and, go through the corn maze and all that fun stuff that you can go and do in the fall time. And so we started that again. We also continued with in all the festive holidays types of things. I mean, she had salt and pepper shakers for everything. And, I just thought, okay, I'm going to take this on. And we go to the dollar store and we get the little fun things, like, for example, for Thanksgiving, we purchased the turkey bingo cards, and we played the bingo game. They had coloring books. They had little hats that they made. Like, those are the things that Grandma did. And so we found it in the day to put out that stuff. And my teenagers were like, on mark, Mom, on mark. So that was like, oh, and it started to come about because we got brave enough to really have the dialogues. And I was getting concerned with the little ones who were still little when she passed, of forgetting, because at certain ages, if you don't continue to share the story and emphasize, then it's gone. And I started to see the gap between my teenagers who remember, who know, who share the story, and my little ones looking like, I don't know that story. I didn't know she did that. So now we feel like we're linking and bridging things together, and it's really fun, because now we're looking forward to the holidays as opposed to remember when we used to. Now we say, remember that. Let's see if we can recreate it. So it's a lot different, and the discussion, is going forward. And I know Mary and I could talk about this forever because it really helps. And I didn't realize the fun stuff had such an impact. I know that sounds really lame when I say it out loud, but I didn't realize the blinking antlers and, stuff that you get from the dollar store. That's the memory maker. Like, okay, really eye-opening for myself and how I mom and mother and how I parent. And I've always narrated, but now I narrate every little thing to the point of wanting to make sure that these stories are woven in, because I don't want anyone's legacy forgotten. I know with my own grandma and great-grandma, I have their recipes, and every holiday I make them and recreate them, and I share those stories. Well, they never knew them. We found pictures, started showing, they're like, wow, even more, even more. And so it's generationally tied together, and the discussions are there, and I can feel just, they take a sense of pride of knowing who their family is as well. So it's been incredible.
Wonderful, wonderful. So at this point in time, I would love to give away 2 sets of books. One, the adult set, and one, the kid set. So can you roll the dice there and tell me who would be the lucky winners?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. All right. Okay, the first one for the children's set, Teresa Moore, Moerer.
All right.
Teresa, congratulations. And our next set goes to Andrew Martina. Andrew
Woo! That's
Martina.
the fellow with the Kleenex. Yay, Andy! I love you. You saved my day that day.
Oh,
and a lot of other days.
That's special. That's really cool. Okay, yeah. That's awesome. That's meant to be. That's great. Congratulations, everybody. And thank you for coming and being a part of all of this. So, Mary, what is our next step? What is the next thing that we want to, kind of tie up with for this book launch?
So for the remainder of the year, I am offering on my website, on the Susie Q website. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see it. If you donate $25, I am going to, well, hang on, go back one, I'm sorry.
Okay.
This is Susie Q's Kids. So I talked a little bit about it in the beginning when we were talking about being grateful. But the bags are made to brighten and inspire the lives of children. And this is my bag here. So it's one bag at a time, and it's all about um, giving kids comfort. So there's books in there and crayons and pencils and a little stuffed animal and um, race cars and an Uno game. So if they're in the hospital or they're in foster care or they're, in a shelter or if they're grieving, they get this little drawstring bag, that they can put other things in when they're done or add to it if they want. And there's usually an inspiration book in there with a few sayings saying you're amazing, you got this, whatever. And so it's just our way of brightening the day of a child. And so we do campaigns. So, for example, if you had a birthday coming up or graduation or something, you could actually do a campaign to raise money, and we would donate then to one of these different items here in the hospital, foster care, shelters, or to a child that's grieving to make their day a little bit brighter. Um, I'm looking to work with grieving parents that don't know what to do on their child's birthday or they don't know what to do on their angel day. And so maybe this is an option where when COVID is over, when things get back to semi-normal, where we could get together and put bags together. Right now, we're just doing it, my husband and I and the internal family, so that we don't have anybody else touching the bags for chance that we don't want to spread any germs, right? But those are ways we could do it virtually right now. You could do a campaign. And then, for example, if you have kids that are um, uh, the Lung Association or the Heart Association and the Cancer Association are very important to you because maybe somebody in your family, survived or was lost to those. We can make bags that are specific for the cardiac floor or, the different floors of the cancer ward. So there's different ways we can tailor the bags to meet the needs of whoever the recipients are. But it's really a child that is in need to be inspired a little bit, to get that smile to bring them forward. So on our website, for SusieQ'sKids.org, we are through the end of the year, for any donation that we get, for $25, I will send you a set of books. So a set will go to the nonprofit into their bags, and a set will go to you. And then if you make a $35 donation, I am going, it's on, there you go. That's going to be the adult set. So I would mail you the adult set. And so if you would like to purchase directly from me, you can do that. And then they're all available on Amazon, of course. But this way, I make a little bit more so I can donate a little bit more to the bags, right?
Right. Really important. I mean, but still, a $35 donation to get these 2 books and to help someone else is really what an act of like, what a great Christmas gift. If you're thinking about it, we probably have enough and more than what we need. And so the concept of what, to spend for someone else, but really in this act of giving, of a donation of $35, now it actually is going into 2 places. So really, if thinking about what that can do for someone else, it's not just brightening a day. I mean, it could be one of those turning points, right? Because holidays can be a lot of stress if you're not really prepared. And yet now you've given something to someone who has an opportunity now to really move ahead and move forward, and you're benefited as well. So this donation that Mary has put together is amazing.
And so with my adult set, I always tell people that if someone passes away or a loved one of theirs passes away and you were to send flowers, you would spend much more than $35.
Very true.
Right?
Yeah.
If you were to send them a set of these books, you are sending them a chance to heal positively. You're giving them the chance to know that they're okay, that they're normal, that what they're experiencing, if they look in the book, they'll realize we all have fog for brains. We all have our, ups and downs. We all have our rabbit holes. All these different things that I just mentioned and touched on, they're explained in the book, in more detail, and in a real easy format, very easy format to pick up and read. And so if you know someone that's grieving over these holidays and having a rough time, that you really are giving them not just a gift of chocolate for the day, or flowers, that are gonna, they don't even remember what they look like. There's so many flowers at a funeral, and it's just, this is something that if they don't pick it up the first day or the second day or the first week or the first month, at some point they'll pick it up, and they will find some solace in there and some hope. And
Right.
so for those children there's a lot of children out there right now that are really suffering from all the trauma that they've gone through this year. They lost their friends. They can't see them. They can't go out. They can't see some of their family members. They can't travel. They can't. There's so many I can't that this is a good dialogue book. You know, um, it's based on Angel Susie in the book, but it really talks about if their dog passed away. It talked about that, and so it's really about looking for the sunshine in a different spot,
Right.
changing the negative talk to more of a positive talk. And
Yes.
that's the 4 aspects of positive reflection that correlate through the books.
Yes. Yes. So you've got another opportunity for donation, which is this $50 donation.
Yeah, I'll give you all 4 of my books, and a set goes to the nonprofit. Such a deal.
Super, super deal. Absolutely, absolutely. So, I
Oh,
mean, those are great ways to give, and this is such a giving opportunity and time of year. Really think about the impact that can be made there. And I love what Mary says about the flowers. They dissipate after a while, but to give a gift of healing to someone, that is impactful. That can change and support an entire family, possibly stopping from more grief, maybe more heartache, possible substance abuse. I mean, the things of the negativity down that rabbit hole are huge. So why not offer a really pinpoint of light, a ray of hope, something there? And so in this donation, now all of the books, I mean, incredible deal, incredible deal.
and our final one is, you have a lucky kid that can use this bag? I'll send you the bag. It has the books in it. I'll send it to you for a $60 donation. So another kid will get a bag and your child will get a bag.
Wow, fantastic.
So, um, so my husband and I are going to have to be really busy if we get a lot of orders, because we've been my kitchen. I'm sorry I don't have the screen up to show you, but it's wall to wall boxes, U-Haul boxes full of bags and teddy bears and blankets that'll go out to these lucky children. But I welcome all the contributions that we can get to make that happen for some more kids.
Yes, yes, definitely. So excited. Crystal Waltman says, this is something that really has that chance to heal. What an amazing opportunity. Amazing. Only $50. Crystal, thank you for being here, showing up live and proud and sharing with us your thoughts about it. Thank you so much.
Yes. So I appreciate all of you that have come and listened to all 4 of my book launches, or 1 or 2 or 3. I am eternally grateful that you're listening to my message, and that Susie Q lives on through each and every one of us. And I really challenge people to think every day we make an impact on somebody else. That kind gesture, that helping hand, that gift, that just recognizing somebody. I can't tell you how many times I went to dinner with my girlfriends. I called and said, Tuesday nights, once a month, we're meeting, and another set of friends on a Wednesday night, and another set on another night. And I went and at first I was just crying. But then they started sharing, and it just became life. They helped me through the moments to be okay. And so we all impact each other. And so if you see somebody on Facebook that puts a post out there that's not quite, make a phone call, because they might just need to talk to somebody. They might just be having that moment that's could take them down that rabbit hole. These children that we're helping, there's a lot of authors in our audience today. Those authors that are sharing their messages. We are touching so many lives and making a chance to have an impact that someone says, if she could do it, I can do it. If he did it, maybe I can do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Get this journey and sit down, prove to my I got what it takes. You know why? Because my mantra is the same as Susie's. You're amazing and I'm amazing. You got this and I got this too. So, thumbs up. Thanks, everyone. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you, Mary. It has
And
been
so,
amazing.
can I give one of these away tonight,
Oh,
please?
sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Your
Who's my
lunch.
grand winner?
All right, let's check it out. Who's going to be the grand winner? Who is? All right, I'm calling it out. Barb Jarvis?
All
Gervais?
right. That's my sister. Yay. Hey,
There you
Barb.
go, Barb. Excellent. Amazing. Crystal says, this is amazing. I love how we can feel the love of Susie Q shining right through this. Crystal, thank you so much for leaving your comments and sharing that out. Amazing. Thank you.
So I'll just give a shout out to Crystal. She just released her book, Quitting to Win. If you get a chance, it's another great book to read as well.
You're
Lots
right.
of good story behind it, as well as April's story.
Many stories out here. Thank you, everybody, for coming, supporting, and being a part of this. Remember, in this time of giving, the donations from the $25, $30, $50, and $60 donations, those opportunities to give are going to be really impacting someone else. And if you do it in the name of respect for someone else who has passed away, maybe you don't know someone personally within your own family that has passed, but you have a friend who has, you could definitely donate in care of the name of that particular person. And the opportunities are endless. And so really thinking about how we can move things forward in an act of kindness that just isn't one way ripple. It really goes out in such a way that can amplify so many people. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, everybody, for coming here live tonight.
Bye.
We'll see you. Bye-bye.